Okay, it's very early in the morning. It's about, well, not anymore. I guess it's about 6 in the morning now. Been meaning to do a health update and just really haven't. But I was awake. I figured I'd do it in here. Came in here to sit with the babies. The chickens are up, as you can see. They're almost all white now, which might actually be a little different from the last time you saw them. Goslings are up, being noisy. I just gave them a little bit more food in their little feeder down here. It's down here somewhere. There it is. So they're eating. They're white. Kaka. Hi, Crash Buddy. Hi, Crash Buddy. They're awful big. See how they've suddenly just not got a lot of room in this tote. Later today, it's early Friday morning. After MJ gets off work. Excuse me. After MJ gets off work, things open up for the day. We're gonna go get the coop for the chickens and the geese, presumably. We'll move them outside today. I'm afraid I'm gonna have literal empty nest syndrome after they move outside, because I've gotten so used to having them here that having them outside and not in here annoying the heck out of me is gonna be a little different. But right again. Anyway, I figured I'd give like a health update. So it's been a couple weeks since the nerve block wore off that was on my ribs, 8, 9, and 10. And it's just been miserable since the nerve block wore off. The pain is all over the right side of my back. Like yesterday, for example, I was hurting from my hip to my shoulder. And everything to the right of my spine hurt. And then the pain wrapped around the front, kind of lower rib cage area all the way to the sternum. And then the sternum even felt like it was hurting on both sides. It's really weird. Like, it's almost like the pain's so strong it's actually referring over to the left side of my body and not staying just on the right. It's to the point where I can't even really lay on my left side even, because of the pain that, like, pushing on the rib cage on the left side is too much. It's like it's moving the ribs on the right more than it should be, and it's just so painful, so incredibly painful. And gosh, it's just interfered with everything. I feel exhausted. I can't sleep but for about 2 hours at a time. I even took a muscle relaxer last night to try to knock me out so that I could sleep. Daphne, stop. No. No. Stop chewing on things. And cheers. I know. Alright, you can chew on the box. I don't care. But don't chew on my bench. But let's see. I went to bed about 1 o'clock and I was awake at 5. So sleeping 4 hours, that's a long time. Y'all are noisy. You know that? Y'all are noisy. I'll hand feed him some treats here in a minute. We'll watch him get really noisy. But just trying to be hopeful, just trying to get through the day. Really starting to struggle. God, There's been some nights where I don't know how I'm going to make it to the next day. The pain is so intense and just so brutal that, oh gosh, I just don't know what to do. Again, every once in a while I'll stop and just be like, I feel like I need to scream. Except that I feel like that screaming would make it worse. It would hurt my ribs more putting the effort into screaming. The other night it was so painful. I was trying to breathe through the pain, but how do you breathe through the pain when it's the ribs that hurt? You know, it's breathing's the very thing that hurts. How do you breathe through that? And it's just miserable. My pain doctor doubled the amount of gabapentin I was on the other day when I called and I said, I need help. I need to get to May 2nd, and I need help. I don't know what to do. So she doubled my gabapentin over a phone call, thank goodness, which was something she had talked about doing prior at an appointment. So she okayed that. I need you. Hi, baby. You guarding the cheeks. You guarding the cheeks. She's stuck with me. Rex and Kratos are upstairs with Dad in his bedroom, I guess. When MJ isn't here, sometimes Rex and Kratos mosey upstairs. Nyx doesn't. She might go upstairs for a minute, but she... Ugh. Appendiculation, I saw it. But, Nyx stays with me. She might go upstairs for a minute. She comes right back down. She stays with me during the night. Well, she stays with me just all the time. But you get the idea. So I've just been suffering, I guess. It's, let's see, what is today? I don't even know. It's April 14th, and I'm halfway through the month. And like I said, all I gotta do is get to May 2nd. Man, I don't know how. I don't know how to get that far. I've gained so much weight from needing to eat, feeling like I need to eat, which is the only thing that stops the cramps that occur in my intestines. I guess the ribs that are inflamed, the nerves that lay along those ribs feed the intestines in the upper right side of my abdomen, and those intestines will cramp up, kind of like when your stomach wants to growl and it hurts, if you've ever had that happen. It's kind of along those lines. It's that really painful growl, except that sensation never goes away. That pain just stays there. And really is the only solution that I can find is to eat, which is unfortunate, to say the least. I've gained over 30 pounds, and I feel like you can see it like in my arms. My arms are just, they feel huge. My legs just feel huge to me. And that's not how I am. I've never been this big. Never. I have no clothes that fit me. I went to Walmart and bought some little cheap dresses because I just can't, I don't fit in anything I owned, and anything with the waistband I have hurts too much to wear. It's insane. I can't wear my jeans, which is what I normally wear. I even bought some like yoga pants that were larger here several months ago, trying to compensate for that. And even the waistband on these yoga pants that should be mega loose, for one thing, I've gained so much weight, they're not big on me anymore. They're actually kind of small on me now. But the waistband on them laying like over my belly is pushing on my ribs. And I can't take it. It's just wearing clothes is so painful. It's insane. Like right now I'm wearing a muumuu. You know, basically like a big, sort of like a gown, but bigger, kind of more open. It's not form-fitting or anything. It's kind of like wearing a big square. but I've had to swap to muumuus and some gowns that I just wear around the house because I can't. I normally use a t-shirt and like basketball shorts or something, and I can't. It's too painful. It's too painful to just exist. I get so tired and I feel so bad, and I want to lay in the bed and I can't. That's why I'm up and I'm in here at 6 o'clock in the morning because I just can't lay down anymore. And it's just miserable, especially when you're so tired from only sleeping an hour or two at a time and doing that 2 times a day. 4 hours of sleep a day for a prolonged period of time is just not going to work. So, sorry, next. So, it's just, oh gosh, it's just awful. And I believe this to be slipped rib, I really do. I would be shocked if the doctor in West Virginia, Dr. Hansen at West Virginia University, who I got an appointment with, he specializes on slipped rib. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. And I would be real shocked if slipped rib isn't what he found. I'm trying to document some of my slipped rib journey here, and there's not much to document besides just feeling in pain. And I just don't know what to do. I had a phone number. My therapist gave me a phone number, and she's like, if you're ever in like mental help type distress, here's this number. It's basically like 911, but for mental health. I ended up texting that the other day because the pain was so unreal. And, MJ was at work, and my dad was upstairs asleep. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to bother anybody. If you're curious about that number, it's down the left side of the keypad. In the U.S., it's 741741. So, it's just the 3 numbers down the left side of a number pad when you go to dial. In case you're curious, it's a free service, and you can talk to somebody for a few minutes, and they can give you resources. They can help talk you down out of a bad place. It's texting. It's texting instead of on a phone call. I think you have the option. They have a website too. I can't remember what the website was called. It was some kind of crisis line. And, if you go on the internet and you Google 741741, it'll come up with their website, and you can call or text. So if you're like me and you have a hard time talking to people because, in my case, probably autism, gonna be tested for that soon, hopefully. That's a whole nother can of worms I want to discuss at some point. But, probably autism, so easier to text sometimes than it is to talk. And at 4 o'clock when people are asleep, I don't really want to be talking and crying, and, you talk really loud when you sob and talk, and I didn't want to do that. So, I ended up texting the hotline for some mental health assistance. Bless you, Crash. With some of that pain when it just got really overwhelming. So if that describes you, if you a lot of pain or a lot of mental upset or something like that, and you don't necessarily want to talk, there is a text line where you can reach out to someone. They have resources for you. They can call for help for you. Kind of a neat little service, really. I didn't know it existed. But you hear that deep breathing, that sigh every once in a while. It's because I shallow breathe so much. It's just a labored breathing all the time because I can't take it. It's so intense. I went out and I worked with the horses yesterday. It's April and the horses are blowing their coats, and I took a shedding comb to them, and I overworked my right arm so bad that it got weak. It got till I almost couldn't raise it anymore. because the ribs hurt so intensely and are in such bad shape, and that pain radiates so far that if I use my right arm very much, that pain from my ribs works up into my arm and makes the arm weak. It's just terrible. It affects so much, and you don't realize. I cannot imagine. There's people who go undiagnosed with slip rib syndrome for years. At the end of this month, I believe, the end of May. Well, no, at the end of May, uh, I'll have been with this pain for a year, and I feel like it's gonna kill me. I don't even know how this is gonna be okay. Like I said, my goal is just survive till May 2nd when I can get some answers. And I hate to say it, I'm normally not one to advocate for surgery, but oh my god, I hope it's slipped rib, and I hope I can have surgery and just fix it, and this can be over. I just don't know what else to do. But I think that's why I'm up now. I've been having to sleep sitting up. We bought, when we thought this, what I think slipped rib, when we thought it was like a back problem here in, I think, November, uh, we bought a new bed, even of $4,000 worth of a new bed. Um, we bought a big Serta mattress hybrid that, and then it's on the base that you can raise the feet up and down, the head up and down, and thinking that would help. And thank God we did, because quite frankly, I have to sleep sitting up, and sometimes in the night I have to sit the bed straight up so I can sleep. The bed will sit up almost, kind of makes you think sort of a chair. Um, the way it'll sit up and then bend your knees, stuff like that for you. And I end up, you know, um, sleeping. Hi, this is what I look like at, oh goodness, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, I, it's just rough. You can tell, you can see it really good in the light. These bags that are here, they're just, this has been around. You can see all my acne from where I eat so much stuff. God, it's just unreal. You can't see my jaw anymore. I used to have a jawline before I had to eat like all the time. Oh God, judge me all you want. I was on carnivore before this happened, and which this has nothing to do with being on carnivore. It has everything to do with the fact that I've been hypermobile my entire life, and I believe there's only 3 risk factors for slip rib syndrome. One is a congenital deformity, one is an injury, and the other is just being hypermobile, which I am. I was born very hypermobile. I remember even when I was little, even the doctors were like, oh, you're double jointed. They knew what that meant, but in layman's terms, at the time, the common term was double jointed. So, it's just been that way. I've always been that way. I do weird stuff like dislocate my thumb. My thumb will bend a full 90 degrees. My fingers bend backwards, and a lot of stuff that they're not supposed to do. For example, my knees do the same thing. I'm a wreck. I'm absolutely a wreck. But, it's just trying to make it. It's just trying to survive. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Thank goodness I have Nyx. She can kind of come lay on me. Sometimes that helps. When it's hard to bend over or reach something, she's able to get it for me. Just thank goodness. Why are you guys so noisy? Geese. So, oh gosh. I don't know. Oh I'm getting lost in the sauce over here. It's finally turning daylight outside, so it's almost time for MJ to be home. I have to take my day in little steps, look forward to little things, like, for example, like, okay, survive till MJ gets home. And then the next step's probably going to be, okay, survive until we get ready to go get the coop. Survive until we get the coop. Survive until we get back. Survive until we have the coop together. You know, and am I going to help with the coop? Probably not. I am worse than useless right now for absolutely anything that requires just any effort, just from exhaustion. Even talking on this thing is aggravating my ribs so bad. It hurts so bad. Gosh, I was really hoping to do more documentation for the slipped rib, but actually I know I wrote some, gosh, my information down here. Just a little bit. Let me lift my laptop up. You know, noisy. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I turned right to it. Good job, me. Let's see. I don't really think I found much. Why? Oh, okay. So I just have some general information about slipped rib that I thought I might share. See if I can. Oh, that's gonna be too hard to do. I tried. Anyway, get resituated here. And in case you're wondering, yes, I am sitting kind of diagonal, crossways in my chair. Only the left side of my shoulder is against the chair. The right side is over here and loose. Because of my pain, it just, you know, not that you can really tell from the moo, but the pain just wraps around here, and it wraps around my back, and I can't touch anything. I can't stand for it to be even touch the chair. Actually, the nerve block failing and lasting not as long as a nerve block should is actually one of the indicators for slipped rib, when you can put multiple nerve blocks in the ribs and they don't last very long. Most nerve blocks are supposed to last like 3 to 4 months. Mine were lasting, I had one, the first set lasted for about 2 months, and then the second set where they did all 3 ribs lasted for 1. I got 1 month out of a nerve block, and you can only have 4 a year, not 12. So that didn't work out. Even the Botox, my pain doctor put Botox in my back. I don't know how many shots. It was probably, I'm going to say at least 30 shots of Botox from my shoulder down to my hip. And she put so many around those ribs to relax the muscles around them, relax the spasm. Because as she kept saying, my muscles are so hard along my spine. It's kind of like, she's like, you've just got 2 rods running down your back that are just muscle bundles that are so tight. She's like, I really think that's what's causing your problem. She doesn't seem to want to believe me that it's slipped rib, nor does she care. I told her, you know, there's like the hooking maneuver that you can do to test for it. She's like, we don't do that here. So you don't want me out of pain. Like, what's going on? I thought that was the point of a pain clinic, was to get pain under control and get me out of pain, but guess not. But she did the Botox, and it helped. Like, it helped the muscles, it helped the pain, because yes, I do have a lot of muscle spasms, so it helped that. It helped the muscle spasm part. It seems to have done absolutely nothing for the ribs that I could tell. Neither did the muscle relaxer that I take sometimes during the night to sleep. Even that don't help. It knocks me out, so then I sleep through whatever pain I'm in, but it doesn't. Why? Y'all, it's too early for this nonsense. Yes. Anyway. Apparently there's people who keep geese in the house, and I cannot fathom that. Like, nothing against them, but oh my gosh, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you, maybe if when it's just one, maybe it's not bad, but they're so noisy. They're so noisy, they're so messy. They make like little diapers for geese that like fasten on a harness. It's kind of crazy. I mean, cool, I guess, if that's your jam. But, oh my gosh, I can't wait till later when I can put them outside. They can just like stop stinking up my game room and whatnot. Anyway, fortunately for me, Dr. Hansen, the hooking maneuver is used to diagnose ribs or slip rib syndrome. Basically, the physician will hook their fingers under the ribs that are supposed to be mobile and lift up and out. And if the ribs move or it causes excruciating pain, that's considered a positive diagnosis of slip rib syndrome. Because guess what? It doesn't show up on MRI. It doesn't show up on CT. The only way to actually see it, supposedly, is dynamic ultrasound. And that's only if you know what you're looking for. Can you find it on dynamic ultrasound? And that's according to Dr. Hansen, who's, again, the guy in, oh my gosh, West Virginia, who was like pioneered slip rib surgery, just research in general. He's of the belief that slip rib is very underdiagnosed, that it often gets misdiagnosed as other things. People who've had, their gallbladders removed and other like exploratory surgeries trying to find what's wrong, and they don't find it. You get referred to the gastroenterologist, you get referred to orthopedics, you get referred to rheumatology, you get referred to the pain clinic, and magically nobody knows what's wrong. You get referred to the neurologist, and nobody knows what's wrong. Nobody can find it. They're all just like, oh, that's not really in my field. But here, let me give you all this medicine and potentially do this surgery, just in case it's something that's wrong. Like, medical industry, man, just don't engage with it if you don't have to. It's just awful. The first actual surgeries, slip rib's been around since like the early 1900s. It's been known. It's still considered rare. Again, Dr. Hansen thinks it's not that it's actually rare, it's that it's not diagnosed correctly, it's misdiagnosed, it's underdiagnosed. So patients are suffering with it and having no answers. So if you've got, I'll try to film a video later with, like some tighter fitting clothes where I can show you where I hurt and how it hurts and how it moves. And if your pain kind of fits that description, then, maybe that'll help. But like what I had is, it's just a sudden onset of this pain. Like there was one day where I was fine, and the next day I couldn't stand to function. And I remember the first probably month or two that this was going on, the pain was actually more in the front. I didn't really hurt in the back. And my solution was to go lay on my stomach over my ottoman, like draped over the short end, so that my chest and my stomach were laying on top, and my head was down and my legs were down. And that pressure on the ribs, kind of pushing them back, pushing them all together, felt like it helped at the time. Now, eventually that quit helping and actually will make the pain worse now. It's gotten so crazy, and like laying on my stomach becomes impossible. I've had to lay on my left side for a year. Laying on my back is not possible. Laying on my right is not possible. Laying on the stomach is not possible. So I've just laid on the left side for literal years. And it's just why, you guys? Anyway. I would go in another room, but I don't have light anywhere else. So I'm sorry if the goslings are annoying in the back of this video. My apologies. I might make a cleaner one later without the noisy birds. The chickies sound like they've all gone back to sleep. think they're roosting. Some of them are. No, they're up. Oh, wait. But, yeah, the sudden onset, so I wrote down here, aching secondary to certain movements. So if certain things trigger it, twisting, bending, throwing, lifting, anything that involves, like the muscles in the back of the arm on the affected side, just feels like it triggers it. And it gets so bad that you just kind of go, oh, and you don't really want to move that arm anymore. That's kind of what happened yesterday with me, where I was outside trying to get stuff done. Goodness, I've been so useless for a year. My poor husband has had to just pick up everything. Bless his heart. He has run circles trying to compensate for me not being really any kind of functional. It's been so just sad. It's been such a rough time. And then below that, I have, it says vague and often misdiagnosed, or worse, even psychogenic pain. People who literally are just told, you're crazy, you're making it up, there's nothing that's showing, you can't be in pain, you're not in pain. And you can find Dr. Hansen's videos on YouTube where he's talking about all this. And the patients that come to him, they've been told they're crazy because nobody can find the pain. Fortunately for me, I have a very understanding healthcare provider that I've seen for a lot of years, and she knows I do not ask for help with pain. She knows that I went to fasting. She knows that I went on carnivore, and that helped massively with the pain. It did not undo it, but it did help massively. Except the problem with this is that, like I said, where the nerves have gotten to my intestines, I've had to eat constantly. And I am not wealthy enough to be able to afford meat to eat so much as to keep something in my stomach. That's the thing, I have to eat when I'm not hungry. And that is a terrible feeling. I can be so full from eating, and then, 2 hours later I have to eat again. I'm like, I'm not hungry, I don't want food. But I have to, because it's the only thing that's going to stop that cramping. And so I've taken to eating cereal. In my case, a gluten-free cereal, because, hey, guess what? I don't do well with gluten, that I learned lately. So I found, believe it or not, don't use Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies are not gluten-free. It says it's rice, and that is a lie. It's not. Fruity Pebbles are, though. Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. I learned that they have, like, Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows in them now. They have birthday cake flavored Fruity Pebbles. Like, oh my gosh, it's what I've been eating for the last 6 months. And I might have... Everything is so bad. You can actually see the chickens right here in the... There's a mirror in the hallway, and it's reflecting the chicks. So if you want to kind of watch the chicks a little bit, they're back there. Oh my gosh, but the cereal, like, depending on the pain and the cramping, I'll have 4, 5, 7, 10 bowls of cereal a day, because that cramping starts and it's like that. Like, I'm fine until I'm not, and then I have to go eat something, and I have to eat something right now, and it does not give you time to fix anything. So you need something that's like ready. And for me, initially, for the first several months this was going on, before I really figured out that eating was helping, I was almost there. I was kind of like, it makes you nauseous. For me, it makes me nauseous. If I don't eat, the pain and the cramping gets so bad, I become nauseous and weak. And so I figured out, okay, I'm nauseous, so I need to eat. And initially I was taking Pepto, and I was down at a bottle of Pepto like every 3 days, Pepto-Bismol, to settle my stomach, because it hurt and it cramped so bad. And I was like, that's not good. Like when all this first started, I thought, oh, I've just hurt myself. I've twisted it or something, and it'll go away. And about a month in, I was like, maybe this isn't really going away. So I got an appointment with my physician. Um, she, like me, couldn't find anything. You know, she was pushing on me, testing for like gallbladder issues, stomach issues, liver issues. She did refer me to a GI at one point, an appointment I ended up canceling. She's referred me to a neurologist, which was booked like 6 or 7 months out. And I was like, I need help before then. That ain't gonna work. So she was able to. She started me on gabapentin, and I think that was it. And then she got me in the pain clinic. I was able to get in the pain clinic relatively quickly. I think that only took about 2 months. In the meantime, I did actually make a trip to the ER and a trip to an urgent care in the time that I waited going to um, the pain clinic. And a lot of Ketorolac, a lot of Ketorolac got me to the. Just don't do that. Don't take a lot of Ketorolac. I had some. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, you guys! Lay down. There you go. Oh gosh, they're finally laying down. Help me. They're. What a mercy. Anyway, a lot of Ketorolac. I get to the pain clinic. She ups the gabapentin. She does the nerve block. She does the Botox. And he recently upped the gabapentin again. But my physician's been really great with trying, like chasing all the rabbits down all the holes. And the more pain I'm in and the more I evaluate, the more I'm like, these ain't gonna work. These, the neurologist isn't gonna help. The gastroenterologist isn't gonna help. The rheumatologist did not help, who I was already seeing. That didn't help. So it's just been a battle all the way. And, when you have to eat like that, and it's like, that's not where the pain is, though. Like, it's not an intestinal issue so much as it's just, it's cramping, but it doesn't feel like problems with my intestines. And I finally saw a chiropractor, of all things, who said, oh, your ribs are turned. I was like, well, what does that mean? So I went looking for, causes of things that would cause a rib to turn. And slipped rib was the only thing I could get to come up. I was like, that doesn't really sound like me, but I'll read the articles. So I read the articles. I was like, oh my gosh, all this idiopathic pain that nobody seems to know what to do with. This is it. This is it. It's so bizarre. And guess what? Underdiagnosed. It is a rare condition. It's considered a rare condition. And that's how I stumbled across Dr. Hansen. There's even a slipped rib subreddit that you can get on that mentions Dr. Hansen. I mean, he's top of the line in slipped rib. But well, I guess I got a little sidetracked. But like I was talking about with the food, I've had to eat so much. I went from fasting and eating either once a day or once every other day, easily. Easily. It was not hard for me to eat once every other day. I don't do much. I don't burn a lot of calories right now, especially at all. But even before, when I was still doing the carnivore, I'm not really mobile. I'm very arthritic otherwise. I do have psoriatic arthritis. So it's been a rough go of it. And eventually it just got till carnivore just couldn't support it, couldn't support eating that much. Initially I tried with bacon, and I will still eat some rolled ham with some Havarti cheese, which is an aged cheese that can be allowed on carnivore, and it just wasn't enough. String cheese, I remember eating string cheese, but I would end up eating 3 or 4 string cheeses at a time to try to settle my stomach, and it wasn't enough. So I'm talking it's not a little bit that you have to eat. You can't, just go eat I don't know, just something small, like a small snack. You can't do it. It actually has to be something the size of a small meal to buy me any time. And so to go from eating once a day or once every 2 days to having to eat 4, 5, 7, 10, like I said earlier, times a day or more is unreal. No wonder I've gained so much weight. And that's so unfortunate because I'm sure, I know that the pain, or that my weight is absolutely making the pain in my ribs worse. My psoriasis has come back now that I've been off the carnivore. Um, my joints hurt again, and I'm like, look at all this work I now have to do. When this is over, I've got to get the weight off of me. I've got to get back on carnivore. I've got to get back on fasting, and it's all I want. And that's the whole goal. That's when I have surgery. That is the first thing I'm doing. I'm getting back on the carnivore train. I'm getting back on the fasting train because those are the only things that help any of the other pain that I'm in. And I can't do them. I can't do them. I can't even help myself right now. That's how terrible this is. I have been just worse than useless. So, it's just been a trip. That's really all the notes I have about it. Every source you find repeats kind of the same information. So if you've got like some strange pain that you don't know what it is, and it's hanging around kind of your lower ribs, like maybe this is worth looking into and chasing that rabbit down that hole, because this might be your answer. And it may save you who knows how much in healthcare costs if you're willing, if you can find somebody able to test for this and treat this. It's just sort of nuts. Oh, the goslings finally lay down and they're being quiet, thank goodness. Having goslings, I think, is a lot like having kids. I don't have kids, but they're the kind of thing where they're quiet and you're like, are you okay? So you go check on them and you look at them and they're like, hey, you're here, and then they're noisy and you just wish you hadn't checked on them. But I've heard a lot about people doing that kind of thing with kids. But anyway, that's why it's suddenly much quieter in here. You can hear the birds outside starting. It's pretty light out right now. So, maybe, hopefully some of this information helps somebody. For me, I'm at the lowest of the low. It's rough. It's really rough right now. So I'm just trying to make it to my second. I don't know. This is just really all I have. I may make another video later going over some other stuff, but that's basically a summary, and I just know I'm in a bad, bad, bad place. I'm not okay mentally for sure. Just struggling so bad. But fortunately I have a good support system. I have my mother I can talk to, my dad I can talk to. I've got a wonderful husband who does amazing stuff. He bends over backwards to help me because he knows this is not my fault, this is not what I want, and that the pain is unreal. He knows I do not complain of pain, and when I do, it's bad. It's bad. He knows that. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't complain of pain lightly. So, that's about where we're at. It's been a trip. I hope it's been a terrible trip. Like, I don't want to, this is a bad trip. Let's stop taking the trip. I have to make it to May 2nd, and it is April 14th. I have just over 2 weeks to go. And every day, I'm literally counting the days. I'm counting the hours and the minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 1 month. Oh my gosh, okay, now it's 3 weeks. Okay, now I'm to the point where it's 2 weeks. I'm 2 weeks away from help. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I feel like the little engine that could, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And that's all it's getting me through is baby stepping my way. Survive today. Okay, great. I did that. So now survive today. The next day. And that's where it is. It really is that bad. And you think, oh, no, you're exaggerating. No, I'm not. Look up how many people become totally bedridden. And, I mean, it doesn't... Some people, depends on how many ribs are involved, what you do that exacerbates it. Some people live for years with it because it's mild. And some of us are bedridden because it's severe. Or even moderate, maybe, depending on your tolerance level. It's unreal how this works. It's just crazy. Anyway, I guess that's all for now. If you're seeing this and you're still here, thanks for the support. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.